Okay, it's just getting started. There we go. All right, so without further ado, I am going to pass it off to our presenter tonight, and that is Ori Little. He's the academic chair of the Mechanical and Industrial Engineering Technology programs, and he'll be able to get you started and answer all of your questions over the next hour. Go ahead, Ori.
Great, thanks, Kathleen. So like Kathleen mentioned, I'm the academic chair for our mechanical and industrial engineering technology programs. So there are 5 programs that are, I guess, under my umbrella that I oversee the operation of. So I don't actually instruct any of the courses, although I was an instructor in my prior role. But I manage the instructors within the school, and I'm kind of the go-to person for students when there's concerns or questions come up with regards to their trajectory in the program, their different options, or if they have some general concerns or issues with things that are going on and maybe some of their courses or with their instructors. So when you do come to NBCC, you'll probably see lots of me, hopefully more next year, where we are going to be doing more in-person delivery, and we'll get to that in the presentation. But you know, I'm here to support you as the students, and I'll do anything I can to help you be successful during your time here at NBCC. So just while I'm opening up my PowerPoint slide here, I'm wondering if each of you could just in the chat, you don't have to unmute your mic or turn your camera on or anything like that, but if you could just put in the chat which program you're currently either admitted to or accepted to, and then I can get a feel for who we have here present in the presentation. Okay, I see PCT, so Process Control Technician. Power Engineering from Michael LeBlanc. Ryan says Mechanical Engineering Technology. Nolan, PCT as well. Susan's Mechanical. Okay. Do we have anyone from Chemical Technology or Industrial Control Technology? Don't see anyone so far. Paige says PCT. Okay. All right. Well, okay. Oh, Daniel's Chemical Tech. Great. All right. So we have some representation from Chemtech at least. That's awesome. And Isaac, you're Power Engineering. Great. All fantastic programs. I'm probably biased, but I will tell you that I am a graduate myself from NBCC. So I am alumni. I graduated from the Power Engineering Technology program in 2006. Then I spent some time in industry until I came back to NBCC in 2017 as an instructor. And I've been in this academic chair role for now 2 years now. So I've been a student, I've been an instructor, and now I'm in administration. So kind of full circle. I know what it feels like when you're first entering into a program. And I can say that our programs, there's a reason why they're so sought after. So let's get started here. So like I mentioned, I guess the programs that we'll be looking at here within the next half hour or so is Chemical Technology, Industrial Control Technology, Mechanical Engineering Technology, Power Engineering Technology, and Process Control Technician. There are several other engineering technologies, but they fall under electronics and electrical engineering technology, that sector, as well as the building engineering technologies. So like we mentioned at the beginning, this is the mechanical industrial. So the programs are divvied up by sector, in case you're wondering why the other ones aren't included here tonight. So I will mention that all these programs that you see here and that you're here for tonight are all based out of the St. John campus. Some of our engineering technology programs are based out of Moncton or could be offered in Fredericton. But the program that you've been admitted into or accepted into is based out of St. John. So any in-person learning, may it be practical or theory-based lectures, will be located on the St. John campus. So when we're looking at the programs themselves in terms of the duration, they are either 2 or 3 years in length. Okay. The ones that are 2 years in length are mechanical engineering technology, power engineering technology, and process control technician. And the 3 years are chemical technology and industrial control technology. Now, I will say that altogether, chemical technology and industrial control technology, they're both 2 years in terms of academic study. Okay, but there are optional co-op portions throughout the program that occur basically every other semester. All right, so as you can see here, for fall, winter, and spring, those are the 3 terms that we have here at NBCC currently. So fall semester starts in September. That's when you would begin your classes for the fall semester, and then they'd wrap up about the 2nd week of December. And then there's a Christmas break, and then you arrive back the 2nd week of January in the winter term. And again, that semester is another 4 months in length, and brings you to about mid-April. So both the fall and winter are approximately 15 weeks long each. So 15 weeks for the fall, 15 weeks for the winter. And then we have a short spring term, which is fairly different compared to other post-secondary institutions. A lot of times spring semesters used for, courses for students to get, caught up on, maybe through distance ed or whatever. But we actually utilize the spring semester for curriculum delivery. So the spring semester begins at the 1st week of May and runs until about the 2nd week of June. So it's much shorter than the fall and winter, lasts about 7 to 8 weeks. So when looking at the mechanical engineering technology, the power engineering technology and process control technician, if you arrive like you're supposed to this fall, in fall 2021, you should be graduating by June 2023, as long as you successfully complete all the courses within the curriculum. As opposed to chemical technology and industrial control technology, if you arrive in fall of 2021, you would be scheduled to graduate in June of 2024. Now, like I mentioned, for both Chemtech and industrial control technology, it is only 2 years in academic studies. So, for instance, in both programs, actually, the sequence is set up in the same way. You would arrive in your first year in the fall, do a fall semester, do a winter semester, and then in that short spring/summer, which includes July and August, you would be given the option or ability, I should say, to participate in a co-op placement. And that ranges for 4 months. Okay. And then what would happen is you would come back for your 2nd year at the beginning of fall again and do your fall semester. And then in the winter of your 2nd year, there would be another optional co-op from January to April. And then you'd come back for spring. You'd complete your studies in the spring semester, and which brings you to about, in the middle of June, get the rest of the summer off. And then beginning in the fall of your 3rd year, and again, this is for Chemtech and industrial control technology, you would do your co-op for the fall semester and then arrive back, do the winter, finish your spring, and then you're at graduation point. So that gives you an idea of what the duration looks like and a sequence of events that are happening. Also, I should mention too, feel free to post questions in the chat as I go along. Don't hold all your questions till the end. So feel free to post in there. If you're comfortable enough, you can certainly turn on your mic as well and ask a question that way. But just be aware again that we are recording. Okay, so the first program we'll review is chemical technology. So for chemical technology, this curriculum is really designed to make sure our students are ready to provide the technical assistance and laboratory techniques that are necessary in different plant operations. One of the other things that students often come out of the program in doing out in industry is to actually install and maintain complex equipment, pretty proprietary to chemical, I guess, techniques or ways of analyzing different types of materials and fluids out in industry. And of course, conduct many classical and sophisticated methods of chemical analysis. So most students that come into this program will be working in a laboratory, whether it be in a pulp and paper plant or a refinery. It could be at a water treatment facility, but usually it's just in a lab. So this is a technologist level program, and different programs that we're going to talk about here tonight could either be technologist level or technician level. But this is a technologist level, which means that when you graduate, you are eligible to register as a technology graduate in training with New Brunswick Society of Certified Technologists and Technicians. So just like the engineering field, where after you would get your Bachelor of Engineering at a university, you would be eligible to become a professional engineer in training and then eventually get your designation as a professional engineer. For any technologist level programs, it's essentially the same thing, except you graduate and you're a technologist in training. And after 2 years of working under an approved technologist, you could be eligible to get your professional technologist designation. And that has, different benefits. One of the most prominent ones being that that designation is recognized internationally. So one of the things that's very lucrative for students is the ability to graduate with the technologist in training stamp, so they can get their designation. Anyways, I do digress. That is kind of the program overview of what the outcome is of the course. The different areas of study that you would begin to look at, ranging right from year one, semester one, are the things here listed right on this slide. So for all our engineering technology programs, there are quite a bit of mathematics and physics. We also see, courses like health and safety and ethics, computer and software applications, and a lot of written communication techniques as well. But with chemical technology, we tend to really drive home the principles of chemical processes, chemistry. Environmental processes is a big one, right? And how it applies to monitoring different streams coming out of a manufacturing or processing facility, and the ways to monitor those processes. Laboratory processes, obviously, that's something that we take great care in with the students, making sure that they know the standard operating procedures of operating different types of equipment in a lab and disposal techniques and things like that. Quality management is huge for chemical technology. That's one of the most prominent areas that our students go to upon graduation is in quality management, because obviously if you're developing a product for customers, there needs to be certain tests done to make sure that the quality of that product is A1. So chemical technicians and technologists are quite heavily involved in that. And we also do a lot of we also do a course on, I shouldn't say a lot of, but we also do a course on microbiology as well. So there is math, there is physics, and certainly with chemical technology, as you can probably guess in the name, there's a lot of chemistry. So be aware of that coming in. And like I mentioned, it is a co-op option. So you'll see this pop up on a couple different program slides for having that co-op option. So what that means is you don't need to do a co-op in order to graduate from this program, but it is available, and it's something that we do encourage students to utilize, because it's a really great way to take all the academic book smart, all that reading and learning that you did, and then go and apply it out in the field. And I can say from experience from a student who has participated in a co-op years ago, that it really does help connect the dots. So one of the stipulations of it being a quote unquote co-op, because we are accredited as a co-op program, is that co-op does need to be paid. So that doesn't mean that you can't go out to industry and find an unpaid practicum, and certainly do that during the time off that you have when the co-op's occurring. But in order to receive the co-op designation on your diploma, you have to have at least 2 paid co-ops throughout your time in the program. So if you recall, I said that there'd be 3 different co-ops occurring, one in the spring of your first year, one in the winter of your second year, and one in the fall of your third. If you have 2 out of 3 of those, essentially you would get the co-op designation on your diploma. And not only does that cement some of the foundational learning that you would have acquired in classroom and then be able to apply it out in the field, but employers do look at that and at the diploma, and when they see that co-op option, they know that the student has had some related work experience in the field. I will, full disclosure, say that we don't guarantee co-ops, because it certainly is something that industry has to be willing to come to the table and provide. And for the most part, I'd say any student that wants to participate in a co-op usually gets the opportunity to. But there are times where there are a finite number of placements, and it is a competitive process that students have to go through with employers. So, be aware of that as well, that you could be an A+ student, and depending on industry's willingness to come to the table and provide placements, as well as, everyone has different abilities when it comes to interviewing and things like that. It really comes down to who industry wants to pick for those co-ops. So just be aware of that as well. And one thing I will mention too, I'll throw a plug in for when it comes to interviewing skills. We do offer a course right in our curriculum that helps students get prepared for the interview process. So it's actually called Employment Strategies. So we have an instructor that basically teaches you how to write a cover letter, a resume, and prepare for an interview right in your first year. So that's hopefully something that everyone will get and be ready to prepare for before they start going through the interview processes for their co-ops. So moving right along, second program, and I'm going in alphabetical order, by the way, in case anyone's wondering the method behind my madness here. But the next program is Industrial Control Technology. So this course is 3 years, just like chemical technology. And what it does is it's designed to train the students in how to basically repair and maintain different types of control devices out in industry. So that could range from measuring and controlling temperature, flow, pressure, all those various process variables that you would have in an industrial plant. Okay. It is a technologist level program, which means that students who graduate from industrial control technology are just like chemical technologists, where they can become a technology graduate in training and eventually get their designation. And those students that typically go and work in the technologist level positions from this program will usually end up in an engineering consulting firm, where they're doing a lot of design work for these actual control loops and control devices. So really applying creative thinking and innovation skills to not only have the hands-on components where they know how to actually repair and calibrate those different types of devices, but actually creating new ones that they can use out in industry. I would say, however, about 85 to 90% of the graduates from this program often do end up working in the technician level position. And there's different benefits to being, working as a technologist and technician. But there seems to be a heavy need in recent years for the technician level positions. So those would be the people actually going and being hired on by different employers such as, JD Irving, NB Power, those places throughout New Brunswick that would go and maintain those different instruments in those manufacturing facilities. So I hope that gives you a bit of an idea of what this graduate would do. There are some similar courses that they would take compared to chemical technology. Again, you see mathematics there. We do a lot of communication types courses that includes writing, reports, which I should have mentioned too with chemical technology. For any technologist level program, there is a senior technical report at the end of your studies, which is basically like a capstone project that incorporates all the knowledge and learning that you've done over the past 2 to 3 years and ties it into one final presentation and report. We do provide, several courses that prepare you to write a report and do presentations. So if that's something that you don't think you're very good at right now or kind of scares you, don't worry. We do have courses to help prepare you for that. But expect that for our technologist level programs that you are going to have to complete that senior technical project during the last term of your second year. Okay, so that's why there's so many communications courses in there to help students prepare for that. So for industrial control technology, there's a lot of learning happening in the very first year, just in a lot of the introductory electrical courses, understanding electrical theory, right? And so that ranges right from Ohm's law to understanding different things like, how a AC and DC motor and generator works and how we control those different types of motors. And you also take a lot of those introductory instrumentation courses, learning how different processes are set up and the different instruments that would be utilized within those processes. And then as you get into second and into third year, you really start to get into the more complex concepts around industrial control technology. So programmable logic controller systems, that's something that we see a lot of out in industry right now when it comes to actually running these plants automated. And you'll start to do a lot more courses in industrial computing. We're seeing a lot of crossover now between instrumentation and cybersecurity networks. So there's a lot of not only hands-on learning that you need to do with the actual instrumentation devices and how to repair those and work with the tools, but also having a really good knowledge of networks and how those tie into the different control systems that are in play in industry. Again, this is a co-op option, so just like ChemTech, it's an option that is available. Just like ChemTech, it is a competitive process. So be aware that the option will be available to you. And hopefully each and every one of you will be able to participate in that co-op if you're in this program. But again, they aren't guaranteed, but we do have that option available to you. The next program is mechanical engineering technology. So this course here, or I should say this program, is a very core foundational program when it comes to mechanical engineering. We don't focus in on any one pathway because there's many pathways that you could go through as a mechanical engineering technologist. But we kind of have a buffet selection of different things that are incorporated into the curriculum. So when a student graduates from this program, they can essentially choose what direction they go in. So as you can see here right in this slide, the graduates really support engineering activities of an organization. So anything from project management to new construction happening and, different plants, and processes throughout the province. Mechanical engineering technologists are really there to be able to help provide a lot of that support. So that could range from having to really apply your knowledge in material science, in power systems, machine design. You could get into the manufacturing field, which is growing and evolving every day. You know, I'm sure a lot of you have seen 3D printing, and we're finding out new ways to utilize those different types of additive manufacturing when it comes to production nowadays. So mechanical engineering technologists are going to play a huge role in that. And we're actually working on a post-grad diploma right now for additive manufacturing. So if that's the interest to you, your learning doesn't have to stop right here at this program. So anyway, that's just a plug for manufacturing. That's another field that you could go into. Thermodynamics and HVAC. So for those of you who are not sure what HVAC stands for, that's heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. So thermodynamics, HVAC, having a sound foundational knowledge of those two things really help you to get out there and implement a lot of the skills and knowledge you have to help companies when it comes to energy efficiency programs, and install those different types of equipment that would help to regulate temperature in buildings. Documentation is a huge part of being mechanical engineering technology when it comes to quality control. You know, figuring out different computer applications. So that includes design software, which is really, really cool. We teach students AutoCAD. We teach students SolidWorks, which is really the 3D design software to be able to kind of make different parts and pieces and components. And then, of course, you know, a lot of the softer skills we teach in the program too is to help you to really implement critical thinking skills, problem solving, and teamwork. All important things we hear from industry every time we consult with them. So some of the courses that you'd have are, again, you see some common ones here: mathematics. In case you're wondering, for our technologist level programs, we do an introductory math course, then we do a pre-calculus course, and then finally a calculus course. And then so you would be doing 3 math courses over your tenure here at NBCC. Thermodynamics and fluid mechanics are very foundational for mechanical engineering technology. So you'll do a couple of courses on those subject areas. And then also getting into mechanical systems and component design. So that's teaching you, you know, the theory of those mechanical systems, how they work, how you factor in some of those other principles like fluid mechanics, thermodynamics, the physics of it, and then actually using the software like SolidWorks and AutoCAD to design those different components. Material science, investigation and analysis. So we teach you about different materials from polymers, ceramics, metals, and why you would use those different materials with certain types of components that you were designing. And then there's actually practical hands-on labs that are used to be able to test those different materials that are being used. So a lot of non-destructive examinations and testing being done in labs that you get taught how to do. And then, of course, we've already talked about this, lots of heating and ventilation and air conditioning, manufacturing processes, so learning the principles of all the different things that are involved in that. And then computer numerical control, CNC programming. So that's just another software application that would be used too within the mechanical engineering technology field. I will say that at this time, there is no co-op option for mechanical engineering technology. Now, that's not to say that during the summer months, you can't go out and find an internship with a company. However, we don't have an official co-op course tied to the curriculum or co-op designation. But we do have a lot of our students during July and August, you know, find internship work with various companies in the province just to get a little bit of that hands-on learning. The next one is power engineering technology. So this one is a little bit deceiving in the name because it is called Power Engineering Technology. This isn't a technologist level program. It is a technician level program. Okay, so I should have mentioned in mechanical engineering technology, just like chemical technology and industrial control technology, you are required to do a senior technical project at the end of your 2 years of study. Power engineering technology, you do not. It is a technician level program, so there's no senior technical project required. Again, it's a 2-year program, and what this program does is it trains students to basically operate equipment, power equipment and systems, control the operation of boilers, electrical generators, and plant auxiliaries. So, that doesn't range just from boilers and electrical generators. That could mean turbines, that could mean pumps, that could mean compressors. So basically prepare you to operate that equipment, but also to learn how to effectively isolate that equipment so it can be taken down for maintenance, and also to get a really sound understanding of the actual power generation process. Many graduates from this program not only go to work as operators or power engineers in companies such as MB Power and JDI, but they often get looked at for different managerial positions as well, because they have a good solid understanding of the power generation process, and often work their way up the ladder into those positions. I will say that after 2 years of successful studies, if you successfully completed all your courses, then you will receive your diploma. But most importantly is after your first year of study in power engineering technology, you are eligible to challenge your 4th class power engineering exams. So separate from NBCC curriculum, we do work with a third party, which is the province of New Brunswick, the Department of Public Safety, and they're the regulator for power engineers in the province of New Brunswick. So power engineers is a licensed occupation, and in order to run boilers, you do need to be licensed, and the bigger the boiler, the higher license that you will need. So after a first year of studies, you can basically at the end of April have your 4th class if you've successfully completed all the courses, challenged those third-party exams, successfully completed them, and then you can get your 4th class license, and that allows you to basically run a lot of the smaller boilers that you would see in hospital settings or school settings. After that first year, you'd have a fall and winter term, and then in the spring term is when you would actually participate or have the option to participate in a co-op. Again, it's an option, it's not required, but in order to get the co-op designation, you do need to participate in that course, which goes from spring of first year all the way through summer until you return in fall of second year. The other thing I should note is it's not only required for the co-op option, but in order to be eligible to write your 3rd class exams in second year, you do also need to gain that work experience, because the Department of Public Safety requires students to have certain amount of experience in the power engineering field before they allow individuals to challenge the actual theory component, which is the exams. So be aware of that as well. Again, competitive process. We typically have enough co-ops for students if they wish to participate, but it's not always a guarantee. And we've especially found that over the past year and a half as COVID-19, it's flipped the world upside down for many people. And that's certainly had a huge impact on a lot of the work integrated learning within our courses. So we had a lot of really disappointed students over the last year, because it just wasn't possible for them to go out and do some of these placements, because there were a lot of restrictions imposed on companies by COVID-19. So the ones that were participating and able to participate, it made it much more competitive for those students to get in. So normal years, it hasn't really been much of an issue, but just be aware that, again, it is a competitive process. We do not guarantee it. So essentially, after first year, you can have your fourth class, and after second year, you're eligible and have the opportunity to get your third class. Now, that's based on the fact that you've successfully completed all your NBCC courses, that you've participated in the co-op, and that you've successfully get your diploma at the end of your 2 years of study, because you do need to present that to the province of New Brunswick before they'll give you your third class. Okay, so you'd have to complete all your third class examinations as well with the Department of Public Safety before they would issue that. So some of the areas of the study that we dive into in power engineering, you'll see some of the ones here that you've probably seen all along. Mathematics is another one, but we don't do calculus in power engineering technology. So for those of you who are huge math fans, that's probably a bonus for you. But we do get pretty heavy into different various physics subjects and thermodynamics and things like that. So be aware that those courses are pretty prominent too. But we cover a lot of the power systems, right from the electrical generator all the way through to the power lines, to the substations. We cover a lot of boiler theory and boiler code. Troubleshooting, critical thinking is very important in this field as well. Right down to the safety, various sciences, engineering, economics, and management. So we're very married to the curriculum outlined across Canada for power engineering technology. So there's something called SOPEAK, which issues the different exams for regulators in each province. So the exams I was talking about for your fourth and third class, that is a national standardized exam. And each province regulates those exams. So the curriculum based out of those exams, we are very much tied to. So we constantly have to revise our curriculum to make sure we're meeting what's in the SOPEAK curriculum. So a lot of the subjects you see here are based on what's in that SOPEAK curriculum, and we really try to make sure we prepare our students for those examinations, because ultimately that's, NBCC diploma, gives you a stamp of approval and meet a certain standard, and that you've done really well here at NBCC. But it's also a ticket to allow you to challenge your provincial exams. And last but not least is process control technician. So this is a relatively new program compared to the other programs I've already mentioned. Its inception was in 2011. It's very similar to power engineering technology, but it has some minor differences as well. So process control technician, you do learn about power theory and boiler theory, but it leans much more towards learning the different processes that exist within the province of New Brunswick. So some of the major ones are pulp and paper processing, petroleum processing, minerals processing, and food and beverage. So as you go through first year, you'll take a lot of the foundational courses, the intro courses, the maths, the sciences, to get a good solid understanding of those different types of theory. And then you take that and then apply it to the different processes that you learn in second year, which are some of the courses I mentioned, like petroleum processes and pulp and paper. So a lot of the graduates that come from this program will tend to go and operate different process equipment for industrial plants. So for instance, instead of working in a steam plant, power plant, where you're operating that equipment, you could be working in an area such as an oil refinery, where it doesn't have a boiler or it doesn't have the turbine, but maybe you're operating pumps and piping systems related to that process, because you have a really solid, good understanding of that process. So like it says here, this program really prepares our students with a broad base of process operating knowledge and skills that will effectively contribute to the operation of industrial facilities. This program is only 10 years old, but it has a lot of support from our industry partners, and they are growingly recognizing that it's a great program. So like I mentioned, it does have some basic boiler theory and boiler codes as well, but it gets more into chemistry, the process and the environment. It gets more into environmental control and responsibility, different types of fuels and how it relates to combustion. Like I mentioned, introduction operations for petroleum, pulp and paper, food and beverage, and mineral processing. So food and beverage, again, it's another area where a lot of graduates go to. We see a lot of them go to like Moosehead breweries or Molson breweries. So one of the things that a lot of students really get a kick of in second year is we actually go through the beer and wine making process and actually brew bottles of beer and wine. So for those of you that are interested in that, that's a really fun course. And we also cover a lot of instrumentation and process control and process control technicians. So going back to industrial control technology, there's a lot of processes and control systems and instrumentation devices that you learn about. Well, do basically a mid-level learning of that in process control. So process control technician is kind of like a jack of all trades, master of none, where you learn a little bit about chemical technology, a little bit about industrial control technology, and a little bit of power, and kind of encapsulate that all into one particular profession. So you can be utilized in different areas throughout industry. So that's why our industry partners love this program so much, is because it gives a very diverse student, I guess I should say. This program does not have a co-op option, but it does have a practicum at the end of the first year. So that practicum is unpaid. Sometimes employers will pay the student depending on the position and the duration of their practicum. But there is a 4 to 6 week practicum that occurs in the spring semester after first year. And that is actually a mandatory requirement for the program. So if you are successful in your academic studies and go through and complete all of that, then we will find you a practicum because it is necessary for you to get your diploma. So after you do your practicum, you would end that, and you would do your practicum till about somewheres, roughly to the mid-June after your first year, take your summer break, and then come back for second year in the fall and do a fall, winter, and spring semester, and then graduate. Moving right along, I see I'm keeping an eye on the time here. We got about 15 minutes left. So these next couple slides, I'm going to move pretty quick on just in case there are some questions we want to get to. But I'm just going to throw a plug in there. Our programs are accredited, which means that they're recognized across Canada to meet a certain standard. So basically, we used to be accredited through CTAB, which is Canadian Technology Accreditation Board of Canada, but they were since absorbed by what's called TAC, Technology Accreditation Canada. So TAC is our accrediting body. We have to apply to become accredited every 5 years, and then every 3 years there's an audit to make sure that we're assessing and evaluating students according to the standards that they identify are necessary. So all the programs that you're coming into, every one of them we've talked about tonight are all accredited, which means that that's really good for employers right across Canada, as well as other post-secondary institutions, that they'll recognize your level of learning. I will say that technology requirements for our programs is that you must have your own computer. Okay, so even though we are going to incorporate more in-person learning, there is still going to be virtual learning. So you must have your own computer and you must have access to reliable internet. We do offer on-site services at campus. If if for whatever reason, maybe you don't have reliable internet, or maybe you just need to get away from the house when you're doing your virtual learning because of distractions. you still can utilize the campus. There's different areas that you go to, such as a library, learning commons, and there'll be designated classrooms as well. For our programs for the computer, the minimum specifications are required, and you can find this right on the NBCC website. So essentially, we're looking for a computer that has a multi-core processor, Windows 10, need to have 8 gigabytes of memory or more. And it's going way down about midway here where you see the red and orange. You are required to have a webcam, headphones, and microphone, because the expectation is that you will sometimes have to utilize those different pieces of equipment for participating in virtual lectures and possibly for online invigilation of testing. So that doesn't mean for every virtual lecture you're going to have to turn your webcam on or talk through the microphone, but there may be periods of time where the instructor has to evaluate you using those different devices, so you are expected to have them. We do recommend a headset rather than having a separate microphone and headphones. Just having, like what I have on here. Believe me, it's much easier to use rather than having the two separate things. And really, the price of them has really gone down since the distribution and manufacturing of them has gone up over the last year and a half. I think I got this headset here for $30, so you can find them for a pretty decent price nowadays. Each one of you are admitted or accepted into the program as it is now. So I'm going to skip over this, but these are just our admission profiles as to what we look for in order for students to be admitted into our program. So you do need to have a high school diploma or something equivalent like an adult high school diploma or GED. We do ask that you have pre-calculus or geometry and applications and functions and relations. And you need to have a total of 2 sciences, including at least one of the following. So if you have biology and something else, such as environmental science, then you could be accepted. Same thing with chemistry and physics. We do recommend physics for all our programs because there's quite a bit of physics in each one of our programs. And that's not to say that we can't get you to where you need to be and that you'll be unsuccessful if you don't have physics. It just gives you a really good advantage, and you can hit the ground running when you do arrive at NBCC. So if you have an opportunity and you haven't yet to do a physics course, highly recommend it, but it's not necessary either. For process control technician has a bit of a different profile, and I've highlighted it here in yellow. Okay, so the only difference here for this program is it does recognize the essential skills achievement pathway, which is incorporated within a lot of post-secondary, in a lot of high schools nowadays. And rather than have pre-calc, we do recognize foundations of mathematics 11. So just a bit of a different entry requirement for that program. Just a couple different statistics here for our program. So we had a survey back in 2019. 91% of our graduates were employed within 1 year, which is something that we're very proud of. 94% of our graduates were actually working in New Brunswick. So if you're looking to stay right here in your home province, that's really good news. And one thing I'll say here down at the bottom is that 85% of our graduates from 2018 are employed in related and working in related field. Okay, so the 91% that you see at the top, that's general. They're employed after they graduate, but 85% is a great number to see. That means that basically they're taking what they've learned and actually working in that field. Okay, so that's a really good success rate that we're very proud of. The impact of COVID-19 pandemic. We are confident that the 2021-22 academic year, we will allow for increased opportunities for in-person learning. So this last year, we had, I'd say, upwards to 80 to 90% of our learning did occur virtually, and only the practical learning occurred on campus. So anything that was lab-based. But we are looking to go to about 60 to 80% of the time on campus for the fall 2021 term. So That means that there will be some in-person lectures, some in-person practical learning, but there'll also be some virtual learning as well. So there'll be a good blended delivery. We still haven't finalized the schedules yet. We're hoping to do that in the coming weeks, and we'll have a better idea of what that looks like on a day-to-day basis. But we're confident that the blended delivery model, having some virtual, some in person, will be a nice balance for students, and make it flexible for your schedules this fall, and it'll hit different types of learners. That being said, all students should begin making plans to be available on campus, right? So just because there is going to be virtual learning, the expectation is that you will be able to be on campus for practical learning or testing, for different classes. All practical instruction will be led by instructors, whether it occurs in person or in the virtual environment. So you don't have to worry for your courses of just getting some course and then, not having instructors kind of guide you through it. They will be there, checking in on things on a regular basis. It's not the type of thing where it's an open entry course where you enroll into it and then you have until X date to complete it. It's very, very hands-on, and our instructors will be there to lead you and guide you the whole way. So there we go. It's 7:22. We have about 8 minutes left. This is the questions portion. So if you have a question, you feel free to put it in the chat, or you can certainly pop on the mic and ask it if you're comfortable with that as well. Entirely up to you. Okay, same D. In the process control technician course, can we challenge the power engineer exam as well? Are we expected to schedule our class, or will NBCC do that for us? Good question, Sam. So for the process control technician course, after your second year, or I should say about midway through your second year, is when you would have the ability to challenge your fourth class exam. So you can graduate from the process control technician program with your fourth class, as opposed to power engineering technology, you can graduate with your thirds. But yes, you do have the ability to graduate with your fourth. So you can challenge those, I think, as early as March of your second year. And then gives you a little bit of time. There's two exams, so it gives you a bit of time to write them both before you graduate. As for the schedule is pretty set in stone. You don't pick and choose your classes and choose what times they're delivered. Our courses are pretty proprietary to our program, so, and the curriculum is set out. There's no electives right now with any of our programs, so we basically build their schedule based on the curriculum, assign instructors, and then we'll provide you with those schedules. I'm hoping here within the next month or so, if not sooner. So you have an idea of when you're expected to be on campus and when you're expected to be tuned in virtually. So hopefully that answers your question, Sam. See someone's typing in the chat, so we'll just give them a minute to type their question. Okay, maybe not. Anything else there, folks? Oh, there we go. Okay, Ryan, how do we log into the NBCC account? I have a username, but no idea what the password is. To reset it, it goes to the NBCC email that I also can't access. Would you be able to help, or would I need some more technical support? Kathleen, do you have any information on that, actually? I have my own kind of ideas with that, but I'm just wondering if you would have any info from student recruitment perspective.
Well, what I would say in that case is you would want to be touching base with our IT department to reset it. a way to do that is if you're an international student, email international@nbcc.ca and they'll be able to guide you from there. If you're a Canadian student, email nbcc@nbcc.ca and they'd be able to guide you from there as well.
Okay, awesome. Thanks, Kathleen.
Ori, a question that we get quite a bit is about like textbooks and supplies for classes and when people should be looking into that. Do you have any guidance there?
Absolutely. If you're looking for information on textbooks, you can certainly reach out to me, and I can provide that to you like as soon as possible if you're really curious on what textbooks you're going to need. I will say that our bookstore on campus orders all the textbooks that you will need for your courses, so you don't have to worry about going and finding them on Amazon and all these different places over the web. We'll provide the book list to you during your first week of studies, if not sooner, so you have an opportunity to actually go on campus and pick up the books that you need. And you don't have to worry about them running out because they order a certain amount for students and allocate them to those specific students. So someone can't just go in and buy the book and take it off the shelf. They have to be within that program. So if you're looking on price, it is factored into like if you need it for student loans or something like that. Do feel free to reach out to me. I will put my email in the chat here for all of you, and I can certainly look into getting you that information. Right now, we are still finalizing our textbook list for fall 2021, and then we're going to be placing the order. And obviously, prices change year to year, so that hasn't been finalized yet, but we should have that information here within the next couple weeks. So good point there, Kathleen.
All right, any more questions for Ori? Doesn't look like anyone's typing.
Nope, nothing right now. That's okay. I must have.
You covered it all.
Information overload, yeah.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Ori, and it's great that you provided your email address. So everyone, feel free to email Ori with any questions that you have.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we're looking forward to seeing you all on campus in September.
Yes.
Okay, thanks again, everyone. Take care.
All right. Thanks, Kathleen.
Bye.
See you, everyone. Have a good night.
Bye.